what's your opinion about Obama's plans and what he's trying to do for peace, like his compromisation? What do you think is for?
Listen, I'm not, with respect to Obama, I'm not nearly as against Obama as a lot of Israelis are. I mean, a lot of Israelis very much supported Bush because he basically gave us a free hand to do whatever we wanted. Personally, I don't necessarily think that's right, or that's the best thing for Israel. I mean, I love Israel, I love this country, I support its government, and I put my life on the line for it. But at the same time, I believe that in some cases Israel acts like a little child, and sometimes it needs a slap on the hand. And I mean, if you look at our greatest successes in achieving peace, which I truly believe is the ultimate goal of this country, not to wage war, but to wage peace. It's come during a time when there was a U.S. president in power who wasn't considered the most favorable to Israel, which was Jimmy Carter. And beyond that, if the Arabs, the other side, is going to view the United States as an honest moderator between us and them, they're going to have to see a president who isn't going to just let Israel do whatever it wants. So I know that Obama, I trust him. I know he's got his chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, who is obviously very supportive of Israel, volunteered here in the Gulf War. We know that Israel's interests are very well looked after in Washington. I mean, there's no secret about that, and I don't see it as in any way a possibility that ties would be strained to the extent where the United States wouldn't be our greatest benefactor. However, I think it is a good thing that there's a president in power who isn't going to let Israel do whatever it wants, is rather going to keep us on the path that we're going to need to be on if we're ever going to achieve peace with our current enemies.
Peace can be achieved in the near future at all, or do you think there are things that should be made in order for peace?
What are the main things that need to happen?
What's the difference?
That's an extremely difficult question. It's a question that people have devoted like PhDs in their entire lives and thousands of pages of research to answering. If you look at, like, I mean, from an academic perspective, if you look at the history of conflict and conflict resolution, usually conflict resolution comes about after a great tragedy or great disaster. That is to say, like, you know, the Oslo peace process in the early 90s came about after the first Intifada, for example. The Camp David negotiations between Barak and Arafat came about after a period of quite a few suicide bombings. Okay, regrettably, I hate to think it, but it might just be the case that we might need another period of conflict before both sides have a reminder of just how much we need. We need peace, all of us, not just us, but them as well, not just them, but us as well. Whether it can be achieved in the near future or not, if you were to ask somebody who was born in Israel or lived in Israel in the 1940s, late 40s, early 50s, that within 20 years there would be peace with Egypt, which is at that time was our greatest enemy of all, they probably would have never believed it. And therefore, as impossible as the situation seems today, I still am willing to believe that within 20 years we can have peace with the Palestinians and the rest of the Arab world, for that matter. You look at the nitty-gritty, the meat and potatoes, like what happens on a day-to-day basis, it wouldn't be something easy, and the disengagement from Gaza is an example of the tension that it would place and a strain within Israeli society. And I don't know if Israel itself is ready for it.
Okay, this is a completely different question because we're two different groups. Oh, okay.
Can you just explain to me really fast about how
strain on Israeli society? Yeah, sure. Israeli society, as much as we're able to come together in times of need, in times of crisis, like during the Gaza operation, for instance. I mean, I've never seen such unity in any one place before as I saw during the Gaza operation, because we knew that the operation was justified. It was to protect the citizens of Israel, and for that reason, everyone stood together. On the other hand, especially along religious lines, but also along political lines as well, there is a percentage of the population that is willing to withdraw from the current territories that we hold, to withdraw from the West Bank, to withdraw from places like the Golan Heights. There's a percentage of the population that, to the core of their existence, is unwilling to do that. I mean, we have Kobe here. For him, this is his house in the Golan Heights, right? And I mean, maybe he'd be willing to, I mean, this is home, you know? This is the most integral, germane part to who he is. It's the Golan Heights. And I mean, politically and personally, he'd probably be willing to would not be willing to come back from here. At the same time, you've got tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands perhaps even, who not just personally, but religiously, like everything that is them is consistent with us remaining in the West Bank, perhaps even resettling the Gaza Strip. And we saw what strain it placed on the Israeli society, when we pulled out of Gaza, which was 7,000 people amongst 1.3 million Palestinians. Imagine what's going to happen when we have to pull tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of settlers out of the West Bank. I don't know if this society as a whole could stand up to that amount of strain. The divisions that it would create within the society itself. Those who want to come out and those who are unwilling to accept that reality.
Okay. My question that I already also asked him, do you think Gilad Shalit is still alive?
100% I think he's still alive.
Why do you think so?
Someone asked me the other day. Okay, first of all, we had proof from the beginning that he was alive. We had, I believe there was like a videotape or a few, we had audio tapes, written letters, what have you. Realistically, it's in absolutely no way, it's 100% contrary to the interest of Hamas to see any harm come to that person. Dead, they can get, maybe a certain number of, political prisoners or whatever you call them, terrorists behind bars, whatever you want to call them, they can get them back for his body, just as we gave a certain number of prisoners to get Regev and Goldwasser back from Hezbollah. But alive, they can get much more for him. And ultimately, that's why Hamas kidnaps soldiers. Kidnaps Israelis. First, to declare some, military victory against Israel, and the other half is so that they can return hundreds and hundreds of jailed Hamas activists and Hamas terrorists out of jail and get them back either to the West Bank or the Gaza Strip. And they need him to be alive for that to happen.
What do you think the government should be doing now to get him back?
Different opinions.
They should be negotiating to get him back.
Well, obviously they've been negotiating, but nothing's happened. Do you think they should be doing something that they're not doing right now?
We've been very close before. We've been very. There were times where I follow the news fairly regularly, and I remember there being times hearing that the Egyptians who were mediating the deal declared that we were within days of a deal, and usually it comes down to issues such as who we're going to let out, not just how many, but who, because there are the big terrorists, the guys who organize the attacks, who plan the attacks, who have blood on their hands, and they're the prisoners, and also where they're going to be released. Are they going to be released to some third party, another Arab country? Are they going to be released to the West Bank? Or are they going to be released to the Gaza Strip? And it's very difficult for me, just like a simple soldier, to tell the Israeli government that they need to let people who have blood on their hands go back to the West Bank or the Gaza Strip where they can do more harm. It's very difficult for me to look the families of people who have been killed by these terrorists in the eye and tell them that this person should be let out. But at the same time, we still have one Jewish life that's still alive, that's still existing. And a soldier at that is beyond just a person, he's become a symbol. And I think the government needs to do whatever they can within reason to make sure that he comes home.
What do you see for Israel in the future?
Just good things.
Elaborate a little bit.
What can I say?
Let me tell you, my theme is for Israel is current events and looking ahead. So I'm just trying to think of what do you see for Israel, militarily, politically, anything like that?
Because militarily, the country's only improving. Israel has always been very good at learning its lessons historically. From military successes and military defeats and military gray areas. And as someone who's in the military, I can tell you that we are very good at learning our lessons and adapting to new styles of warfare and new threats. Okay, militarily, I don't think anyone needs to worry. Socially, politically, there's no question that in this country there's a certain lack of vision, there's a certain lack of political horizons, there's a certain political stagnation in this country that I don't think anyone has seen a solution to since Sharon entered his coma. He was the last great visionary. And politically, at least, this country is going to need somebody to stand up, take the horse by the reins, and provide the citizens of this country with someone that everyone, not just the religious, not just the secular, not just the right, not just the left, but everyone can rally behind and take Israel to return it to the days of great leadership. That's politically. Socially, this country's always had divisions and always will have divisions, and all I can do is hope that we're going to be able to overcome them and once again remain as unified as possible.
Okay.